Hamlet in Pop Culture by Eric Mark. From Star Wars, The Lion King, and Billy Madison, the story of Hamlet is referenced everywhere. Today I will tell you the Hamlets in pop culture. The 1980s blockbuster hit and fifth installment of the Star Wars saga, The Empire Strikes Back, shows a scene where Chewbacca is seen holding C-3PO's head, similar to the way Hamlet held Yorick's head. The film director, Irvin Kershner, said that it was intentional in an interview with Noble Smith. Irvin explains that Chewbacca is Hamlet and 3PO is Yorick. Chewbacca is holding C-3PO's head. This resembles Hamlet holding Yorick's head. In Hamlet, the skull is a reminder of death. Hamlet looks death directly in the face. Chewbacca found C-3PO's head in a recycling facility. Hamlet found Yorick's head in a graveyard. C-3PO and Yorick were left to be forgotten in these places. Hamlet and Chewbacca carefully examines the head of their colleagues. They reminisce over the remains. Hamlet recalls the memories of Yorick when he was young, and Chewbacca is upset that his friend is in shambles. In the 1994 Disney classic, The Lion King, Scar, King Mufasa's brother, lures Simba and his father into a stampede of wildebeest. Simba survives, and Scar convinces Simba that he is responsible for his death. Simba runs away because of the shame he believes he has brought to Pride Rock. In the meantime, Scar inherits all the power of King Mufasa and takes the rightful throne. Eventually, Simba returns to the kingdom and claims his rightful throne. Similar to Hamlet, the Lion King portrays a troubled child that seeks to avenge his father's death, with direct parallels to Hamlet. The Lion King directly parallels Hamlet in the following. King Mufasa was killed by his brother Scar. Simba loves Nala, was visited by his father's ghost, ran away from home, returned to Pride Rock to seek revenge on his uncle, had a close relationship with Timon and Pumbaa. Scar died by falling off a cliff in a fight with Simba, and Zazu was Scar's royal advisor. Similarly, King Hamlet was poisoned by his brother, King Claudius. Hamlet loved Ophelia, was visited by King Hamlet's ghost, was forced to leave Denmark, returned to Denmark to seek revenge on King Claudius, had a best friend named Horatio. King Claudius died when Hamlet stabbed him with a sword, and Polonius was the chief counselor and is a spy for King Claudius. In the comical Adam Sandler movie, Billy Madison, Billy must repeat 1st to 12th grade all over again in order to own his family's business. As a result, he must compete for his father's business with the company's business executive, Eric Gordon, in an academic decathlon. In the academic decathlon, Billy Madison and Eric Gordon must participate in this event in order to see who will take over the Madison Company. In a montage of events, Eric and Billy are shown acting out a scene from Hamlet. Billy was wearing Elizabethan clothing and was holding onto a skull, most likely a portrayal of Yorick's skull. Eric Gordon quotes, "To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in this mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune," and is interrupted by Billy. In Billy's interruption, he continues Eric's quote obnoxiously, "Or take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more," mocking Eric. Here's a clip from the scene.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep no more.
In Freaky Friday, a teacher gives his students a pop quiz on Hamlet. The student asks one of his students, "Who is Hamlet?" The student does not know the answer, but the teacher walks him through to get the right answer. Then he asks the main character, "What's the central conflict in Hamlet?" She answers the question completely correct, and he simply states she is simply overreaching and gives her an F on her pop quiz. This movie depicts the modern classroom of teens learning about Hamlet. It shows how the older generation knows more knowledge than the younger generation. The teen in the movie is actually the teen's mom, which is the main plot in the story. Here's a clip from the scene.
For a pop quiz. All of you should have finished reading Hamlet by now. I'm going to ask each one of you one question, and you will be graded according to your answer.
Oh, thank God it's Hamlet. I've never seen that play in high... I know the play. Like, that'll help you.
Mr. Waters, describe the character of Hamlet.
Hamlet, he's one of the big characters. I mean, he's Hamlet. He's just bopping around, doesn't know which way's up. Oh, I don't think the guy's got a clue.
You mean to say that he is a man who couldn't make up his mind?
Exactly.
Very good.
All right.
B.
Yeah.
Ms. Coleman,
Yes, Mr. Bates?
what are the central conflicts in Hamlet?
Well, political, of course, because Claudius usurped his father's throne. Edible, because of the undercurrents with his mother. And then there's the timeless question of insanity. Is he really seeing his father's ghost, or is he simply mad?
That is seriously overreaching. F.
F?
F. Mr. Frenelli, who...
As you can see, this depicts a modern classroom and how high schools teach Hamlet, but not Holy Ghost, obviously. In Dr. Seuss's children's book, Green Eggs and Hamlet, he uses a famous text from Hamlet and throughout his book. The famous quote is, "I ask to be or not to be. That is the question. I ask of me this sullied life. It makes me shudder. My uncle's baffling dear, sweet mother, would I, could I, take my life? Could I, should I, end this strife? Should I jump out of this plane? Or throw myself up before a train? Should I from a cliff just leap? Could I put myself to sleep?" Similarly, in Hamlet, he quotes, "To be or not to be, that is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep, no more." The song Ophelia by the Lumineers shows that Hamlet is going mad. A lyric in the song, "Oh Ophelia, you've been on my mind, girl, like a drug," shows that when you are on drugs, you hallucinate and go mad, just like Hamlet in the story. Also, it shows that since King Hamlet's death, Ophelia has been on Hamlet's mind. He states, "Oh Ophelia, you've been on my mind, girl, since the flood," which means the flood represents the killing of his father. Hamlet is still upset about his father's passing and his mother's marriage. If Hamlet was still alive, this song would be a reflection of the events that took place in the story, the passing of King Hamlet and the death of Ophelia.